Maker 24B724247. So the victims sent a letter that I'm just going to read to you, and the victim's family, and then they provided a 10-minute video that I'm going to share on the screen. I'll read this. Mr. Barker, your appearance.
For the record, Your Honor, Stephen Barker, P36L30 on behalf of the defendant.
Mr. Shoemaker.
Randy Shoemaker.
I'm going to just go ahead and read this letter, and then we'll go from there. And their lawyer, I believe on a civil case, is going to be here. I stand before you today. This is the parents. A shattered member of a family irrevocably broken by the actions of the defendant. You two can have a seat. The loss of our beloved Danny has left a gaping wound in our lives, a wound that time will never fully heal. The vibrant tapestry of our family, once woven with laughter, love, and shared dreams, now bears a permanent tear, a stark reminder of the senseless violence that stole him from us. Danny was more than just a brother, son, cousin, nephew, co-worker, and now uncle. He was the heart of our family. His infectious laugh filled every room he entered, and his bright spirit was a beacon of joy for all who were fortunate enough to cross paths with him. These precious memories, once a source of comfort, are now laced with an unbearable pain, a constant ache that shadows our every waking moment. The defendant's reckless actions didn't just end Danny's life, they shattered ours. His father, once a jovial man, now retreats into silence, consumed by grief. His sister, just recently blessed with a beautiful baby boy, now faces the bittersweet joy of new motherhood without her beloved brother to share in the celebration. Her son will never know his uncle. Hang on a second. Can you come here, John? What was it? Hang on, Judge. Oh my God, thank you. Gosh, this is the letter from the last one. My apologies. The 20-minute, 10-minute video. My apologies. I had two of these terrible things today.
Yes, sad day for the court.
Pardon?
You say it's a sad day for the court.
Go ahead and play. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, here. Jeez. They were on the back. Hello, Judge McNally. This is Robert Brewer's father, Robert F. Brewer. I'm reaching out to you on behalf of my deceased son, Robert. Me and my wife, Carla Brewer, will not be attending the hearing on April 8, 25 at 9 a.m., 33rd District Court. Instead, my lawyer, Steve Matz, will sit in on the Zoom hearing on our behalf. The reason we will not be there is because of our distress and anguish regarding the death of our son. On August 6th of 23 at approximately 5:05 p.m., Robert was struck almost head-on by Randy L. Shoemaker. Randy was driving a Ford Expedition. Robert was driving a Chevrolet Spark. Randy Shoemaker told Officer Mott he was reaching for the radio when he crossed two lanes of traffic and struck Robert pretty much head-on, striking the front of the car A-pillar and driver door. Officer Mott told me they found Robert in the passenger seat unconscious with severe injuries. Robert had severe head trauma. His jaw was shattered. His arm was broken, and he had damage to his lungs. Robert was rushed to the hospital just barely alive. When Robert got to the hospital, the trauma team put him on life support. And the next day, on August 7 of 23, Robert passed away from his severe injuries. Me and my wife did not know about the accident for 3 hours until Officer Mott came to the door around 8:25 p.m. and told us the horrible news that changed our lives forever. Your Honor, I don't know if you have any children, but if you do, I hope you never have to go through what we've went through. Our world is upside down. Robert was a Wayne State grad, graduated in 2019 with a bachelor's in graphic design. Robert was an artist. Robert was always drawing whenever he had any spare time. Robert worked at Disney for a year. He did graphic design for Metro City Church up until the accident. Robert bought the 2019 Spark because GM called him to work at the Warren, Michigan Design Center in the fall of 23. He was a wonderful young man and would have been a great contributor to our community. Randy took that all away because he was a distracted driver. If an individual kills another individual, there needs to be accountability, consequences, not just probation. Me and Robert's mother have a life sentence. Robert was our world, our only child. We'll never have grandkids because of Randy L. Shoemaker killing Robert. I ask you, Your Honor, please give Randy Shoemaker the maximum sentence so Robert can have justice, so we, Robert's mother and father, can have some kind of closure. Please, Judge McNally. Randy L. Shoemaker may do this again. Please take him off the streets. And there's a picture of the victim here. So is Mr. Matz in here by chance, Lisa?
No, he's not.
Was he ever here today?
No, I haven't seen him.
Okay, so we're going to play this 10-minute video now. And I think that's appropriate given the fact that the parents expressed pre-sentence report. Are there any material additions, corrections, or deletions? And Mr. Muhammad, I believe you walked in later. Your appearance.
Good morning, Your Honor. Mohammed on behalf of the people.
All right.
No, Your Honor, we have reviewed the pre-sentence report. There are no additions, deletions, or corrections.
Anything and your name again, sir?
Randy Shoemaker.
Anything you would like to say on his behalf?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Shoemaker is a very nice young man, hardworking, supporting 3 kids. On the tragic day that this happened, he was driving his employer's vehicle. It was not even his vehicle.
Whose vehicle?
His employer's vehicle.
Okay.
And there was a mechanical issue with it, that it could pull to the left. And he did, unfortunately, what so many of us do during the course of driving around and everything. A lot of times we don't even realize we're doing it. He went to adjust the radio. And when he did that, it took his mind off holding that wheel steady, and the car pulled to the left. And the tragic accident is he hit the smaller vehicle. The driver in that car, unfortunately, was not wearing a seatbelt, and he lost his life. And as the film shows, it's a very good, nice young man. These are 2 good people under tragic, horrible circumstances. My client has borne the guilt of this every day from then till now. He thinks about it every day. He has nothing but empathy for the family, nothing but sorrow for what's happened. Unfortunately, none of us have any way of turning back time and changing those unfortunate circumstances so that everybody could come out of this with a happy ending. There is no happy ending. The consequence of this for himself, besides the fact that he deals with this emotion and guilt all the time, is that he drives for a living. He will not have a license for a year. That is going to impact his ability to maintain his home, take care of his children, and everything else. And we're not asking for the court to extend the sympathy to him, just reinforcing the tragedy of this for everybody involved. And our heart certainly goes out to his family. That film strip was very touching, and I'm sure it was a hard thing for him to sit there, because so often these things happen, and unfortunately the driver that's of the vehicle, who's the lost driving driver, doesn't know anything about the person who lost their life, and doesn't realize the additional tragedy of who and what that person was. My client now has that to bear along with what the guilt he already felt about the thing, and the sorrow he already felt about the thing. It's just that it was literally an accident. In terms of moving violation, he wasn't drinking. There's no alcohol involved. There was no drugs involved. There was no speeding. There was just a momentary lapse. He was not even given a ticket for any kind of a moving violation. Because it was a tragic accident.
Wait, I missed that last sentence.
I said there was nothing, he wasn't even given a moving violation for the case. He was not given it, never received a ticket. He had shown up for all his court dates, and everything is expressed nothing but distress and concern for everything that's happened here. I asked the court to consider those things and to be as lenient with them as possible, because as they say, but for the grace of God, there go I. This could happen. I mean, I know myself that, when I drive around, I try to be very attentive and everything else, but times with work and so on, my mind wanders, and that's all it takes for something like this to happen. But it is important to remember that this is a situation that was just marginally in his control. Obviously, he would never ever have reached toward that radio if I thought there's going to be any kind of consequence, but we don't think under those circumstances. It's just normal behavior with a tragic result.
And I just want to make sure, Lisa, there's not anybody for the family of Mr. Brewer out there, correct?
Mr. Matz did appear. I brought him in during the video.
Mr. Matz, I'm just going to offer you an opportunity. You could just tell me your name, and I'm just going to offer you an opportunity. I know they said that you were their representative, their lawyer, and you would be on Zoom. I just wanted to tell you we did play the video. If you didn't know that, I've read their letters. And if you wanted to say anything very, very briefly, I'm going to let you. Otherwise, I'll move on to the sentence.
May it please the court, Stephen Matz on behalf of Robert Carla Brewer, P28082. The Brewer simply asked me to observe. I've been watching the hearing since 9:20 this morning, and I believe the Brewers have adequately conveyed their concerns to the court. I know the court will take those into consideration. I have nothing further today.
Thank you. Sir, anything you would like to say?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm so sorry to the Brewer family for the tragic accident that happened. I did not plan on I didn't wake up that morning and plan on an accident happening and somebody losing their life. I couldn't imagine what the Brewer family is going through with having to deal with this situation. I as well have to deal with this every day for the rest of my life and have the weight on my shoulders of knowing that a life was taken in an accident that I was involved in. And again, I'm deeply sorry that this accident happened and a life was taken.
Thank you, Judge. And I just wanted to shed some more light on the facts of the case since defense counsel brought it up. My understanding is that the defendant in this case was aware that the vehicle had some mechanical issue and that it steered to the left a little bit. That was prior to him getting in that vehicle and driving on that night. And the victim in this case is Robert Brewer. It's not the defendant. And Mr. Brewer was an amazing person, not just to his family, as a son, as a friend, but to the community. He was a part of his church. He was an artist. He was many things. And unfortunately, his life was taken, and that was due to the actions by the defendant. And also, Judge, I believe there was a drug report in this case that the MST blood results showed that the defendant had drugs in his system.
He had consumed marijuana earlier in the day.
Correct. So I just wanted to paint the whole picture.
I stand corrected on that, Your Honor.
I understand. I read the reports. Anything else?
No, thank you.
Did I let everybody finish?
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Barker?
Yes, Your Honor. I mean, there was no indication that there was enough of a level there to
have
affected anything. Again, it's just such a sad situation. And his remorse, I mean, I don't know. There was a time in the old days when people would wear sackcloth and put ashes on their head and so on to show their sorrow and we don't do that sort of thing anymore. But in his heart, he's wearing sackcloth and ashes, and would do anything he could to change the effect of that situation that day. We can't.
Anything else, sir?
Just I'm deeply sorry that a life was taken in this situation. It was an accident, Your Honor. I didn't wake up and want to get into that.
Nobody thinks you did.
No.
Nobody thinks you did.
I'm deeply sorry to the Brewer family that their son was lost and a brother was lost. I'm not saying he wasn't. We're all human. We're all meant to be here. I mean, I know he was talented. I could see that from the video I saw, and I have to live with the fact that a life was lost in this situation. If the roles could have been reversed, I would have. I wish it was my life that was taken instead of his.
These are difficult for any judge. And I certainly find them difficult. We don't have any intent here. We have no intent here. No intent to kill. You have had other blemishes in your life. I mean, you had an MDOP out of this court 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, disturbed the peace in 18, impaired 12, A and B 11. But I want to tell you something, what troubles me the most here. I personally think they should have charged you with reckless driving causing death. And I'm going to tell you why. You knew. First of all, I'm not sure I'm buying the mechanical defect that's causing the vehicle to turn to the left. I mean, the accident reconstruction, they were not able to discern whether or not that was accurate. But even if it was accurate, you should have parked the car if it was going to cause the car to jerk across 3 lanes of travel and not driven it again until it was fixed. But I don't have any evidence that that was going on. You're playing with a radio. You're playing with a radio, and you drive clear across 3 lanes of travel. That's pretty hard to do. That's really hard to do. I have a feeling, but I can't prove this, and I'm not going to assume this. I have a feeling you were doing something else. I have no idea what. But if this traveling across 3 lanes of travel isn't willful or wanton disregard for the safety of persons or property, I don't know what is. You don't have to be drunk. I'm going to assume that you had absolutely no effects from that marijuana. But you drove across 3 lanes. How could you not feel that unless you weren't paying attention to anything? And if you weren't, you should never get behind the wheel of a motor vehicle again. This isn't like somebody had a seizure and drove across a lane of travel, which this is pretty outrageous. And the prosecutor's office, at least in this judge's view, should have charged reckless driving causing death, which is a 15-year felony, instead of a 1-year misdemeanor on moving violation causing death. I can't condone this conduct. I mean, I want to look at it, look, if I knew you were taking aim at the guy and driving a car at him, that would be, frankly, murder too, and you'd be going to jail for years and years and years. I'm not saying that happened, but you're driving on dicks. I mean, that's a speed limit of, you weren't driving in a subdivision dirt road going 15 miles an hour, changing the radio. You were paying no attention. These cars, these vehicles, they're not a toy. We want to have fun, go over to Sportway and get on one of the go-karts. I don't know what to tell you. But I had an earlier one of these today, and this one's worse in my view. Worse. So that's bad news. Can't do this. I mean, I appreciate the fact that you're showing remorse. But it's a little too late. These are not easy cases, but I'm very comfortable with what I'm going to do here. No, you were here every time. No, you didn't abscond. But this is not right. 24 months probation. You cannot leave the state without the consent of the court or violate any law or ordinance. If you change your address, your place of employment, or home telephone number, you must notify the probation department. You're to report as directed. You're to attend the decision-based driving level 2 course at Class A training center. You're not to have any contact at all with the victim's family members. 100 fines, 100 costs, 75 victims' rights, $50 justice assessment. That's 3.25. Probation fees are $480 for 805. Screening fees $60 for 865. You're going to serve 90 days jail, 75 days now, 15 days of community service in lieu of jail. I'll give you 15 days, that's 120 hours. You're to serve that by, I'm going to give you all the way to August the 1st. If you violate, your probation could be revoked. You could be incarcerated for an additional 275 days. You have 21 days to appeal, 14 days to apply for a court-appointed lawyer. Counsel, this is not your fault. You did nothing wrong here. Sometimes we can't save clients. This is one of those cases. I don't care what anybody thinks. When I read these reports, I thought it was more outrageous than I thought before. You cannot do this.
Your Honor, if I could ask the court, he could have some time.
I'm sorry. I've had too many guys not show up when I do. Listen,
I'll be here. Your
listen,
Honor.
I'm not going to let you do it. No,
I'm gonna
No.
lose everything.
no,
I have
listen.
a house that's
Stop.
stuff I'm gonna
Do
lose.
not argue with me. Do not argue with me. Okay? Have a seat. Sorry, counsel. I'm not doing anything. I'm sorry. Paige Rose, our